Okay, so I figured I'll tell the story, the full story of how Mike and I met. It's not true that I hit on him first. So what happened was, this was what, 2012, January something, and it was right around Chinese New Year. Where do I begin? Okay, so I think it was like a week before we met. I was walking home with a friend, and we were walking by this coffee shop in Singapore, and there was like a little drain, and I tripped on the drain. And so I looked down, and I didn't think anything of it. I thought I just tripped. I looked down and I see this giant fishball stick that like pierced right through my big toe. And my friend just starts laughing hysterically. And we were both in shock. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to do. And I was like, what do we do now? So anyway, fast forward. I tried to hail a cab, but the taxi didn't want to take me when he saw my toe. So I had to call my parents, and they came to get me. So I went to the hospital, and they put me under to pull the stick out because they tried to do it in the emergency room, and I was just screaming. The doctor was so scared. And so anyway, so I had this big ginormous bandage on my big toe, and so like 1 week later, it was like I think the third day of Chinese New Year or something, and my friends were going out partying, but I didn't really want to go because I had that big bandage and I couldn't wear normal shoes. I had to wear like open toe sandals, and a lot of the clubs in Singapore won't let you in if you're not wearing shoes. So I was like, I don't know if I want to go, da 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 da. And one of my friends was like, no, just come, it'll be really fun. And so she convinced me to go, and last minute I decided to go. And so then, it was like 11:30 or 12 at night, and we got there. So my friends and I were, we were getting drinks, and we were taking selfies. It was me and two other girls. I forget if I think there were other people there, but it was me and two other girls taking a selfie. And then this guy comes up from behind and taps me on the shoulder and is like, oh, let me help you take your picture. So by that time, I had also, had a couple of drinks, and I was like, oh, okay, thank you. And so I still have the picture and that guy was Mike. So I still have the picture that he took for me and my two friends. And then after that, somehow, I guess I asked him, like, oh, let's take a picture together. And so my friend took a picture for us, and we still have that picture till today. And it's actually framed on our staircase, and we both look super drunk. But we thought it was cute to keep it because that was our first picture that we took on the night that we first met. So that was, and then after that, I guess after the picture, we just like stood in a corner of the club and we just started talking, and we got along really good. Like I said, I thought that he was really tall because I was in flat shoes. I don't even know how they let me into the club, but I guess they did. But I was in like just basically flip-flops. And so then I remember we were talking a lot about my business and what I, like a lot of businessy stuff, and about being an entrepreneur and stuff. And then, so okay, fast forward, I don't know how long we were talking for, but then, so I go to the bar to like hang out with my friends, and then he comes and says that he's leaving or something, and he said, this is my, take my number, or this is my number, or something like that. And I was like, I'm not gonna call you. Like, if you want, you can have my number and you can call me. And he was like, no, this is my number. If you want, you can call me. And so then somehow I like took his phone and I typed my number into his phone. And then I think I gave him I don't know. Anyway, I gave him a missed call, so he had my number. And I was like, okay, now you have my number. See you, bye. So then, somehow we just, you know, we got separated. And as I was, as somehow I left the club first and I was with my friend, and we were talking to another guy on the, like, it's like an alley to get out, and we were standing in the middle of the alley and we were, you know, talking to another guy, and then Mike comes behind me and he taps me on the shoulder and he's like, see you, like trying to tell me that he sees me talking to this other guy, and I guess making his presence felt. So then I remember turning to my friend and I was like, oh crap, he saw me talking to another guy. And but anyway, so then we leave, and then, so okay, fast forward again, the next day, I was kind of waiting for his call, but like I remember vaguely enough that, you know, we had a really nice conversation and stuff. But, you know, I mean, it's, you meet someone in a club and you're not gonna think too much of it. So, but I guess I was like in some way waiting for him to call, and but he didn't call until like, I think it was like 5 p.m. in the afternoon, or like almost in the evening. And then I get this phone call and it's him, like, and he says, oh my gosh, you won't believe it, blah, blah, blah. And he was like just going on and on and on. And what happens is that it turns out he texted me the night before when he left, and then he was like, oh, you know, really nice to meet you, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then he texted me in the morning, and, you know, like, whatever, just trying to reach out, and apparently, like, I never responded, but I never got any messages. So then he figured out that he had actually been texting the taxi driver who picked him up from Marina Bay Sands, because the taxi had called him when the taxi arrived, and he had been texting this old Chinese man. And so how he found out was that he thought that maybe I didn't have text message, because apparently the night before I had said call me, and so he decided to call right around 4 in the afternoon or something. Okay, 1 second. What do you want? What do you want? I don't know what you want, Munchkin. Do you want a picture? Oh, you hear Mommy's story? Are you hearing Mommy's story of how I met Daddy? Okay, 1 second. I'll get it for you, okay? Can I finish my story first? Okay, thank you. So yeah, so then anyway, so it turns out that, oh, so he called the phone number. No, he called the phone number that he thought was mine. And then this old Chinese man picks up, and the Chinese man is like, what do you want? Don't call me. Don't call me again. Wrong number, wrong number. So Mike thought that I had got my dad or someone to, like, you know, basically say I'm not interested or something. But he thought again, and he was like, oh, but we had such a nice conversation. How's that possible? So then he looks through his phone and he finds another unknown number before the one before the taxi driver's number. And he was like, oh, maybe it's this one. So then he calls, and finally I pick up. So that was the story. Yeah. So if he didn't try hard enough, we could have never met, because I didn't have his number. But yeah, so that was the first night. So then I was actually kind of afraid to meet up with him in person, just because I didn't know if he was like a sleazy guy. And so he kept asking, picture? Okay, you want a picture? Mommy show you a picture. Which one do you want to see?
A picture.
Which one? Oh, you want to take a picture? No, Munchkin. Okay, you can have this. Do you want this? No. Wait. Hola! Okay, do you want it? Okay. Chocolate. You're welcome. Okay, so then, wait, where was I? Oh, okay. So yeah, I was kind of like afraid to meet him, but finally I agreed a week later. And then 2 hours before we were supposed to meet, I remember it was like I think it was a weekday night. Um, I asked my friend to come with me and I texted Mike and I was like, "Oh, by the way, I'm bringing a girlfriend." So then he brings a friend and it becomes four of us, and it did not go well at all. Um, so I'm talking to Mike, and then his friend is like talking to my friend, and so it's four of us at this like cocktail table at a bar, and then all of a sudden the friend turns to Mike in front of me and my friend, and is like, "Hey, do you want to switch?" And I look at my friend, and my friend looks at me, and we're like, "Oh my gosh, what did we get ourselves into?" And so I pull her to the bathroom, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, we gotta leave. Who are these guys? They're so sleazy. Let's go." And it was the same friend on the night. She was there when we were at the club, and she dragged me to the club, and and she was the one who was like, why don't we just give it some time, and let's just get to know them a bit more and then decide. And if we want to leave, we can leave. So I was like, oh, I don't want to be here and blah, blah, blah. But so we go back and sit down, and then, after a few drinks and just, I guess, more normal conversation, it was fine. But yeah, I was not really feeling it at that point. And then, and then throughout the night, we moved places. We went to a wine bar and got a little better. But I remember I was wearing a pair of Jimmy Choos, and Mike kicks my shoes under the table, and he's like, "Oh, nice shoes." And I'm like, "Yeah, they're Jimmy Choos. Don't kick them." But yeah, so that was our first date. And then a week later, I finally agreed to meet him again. And that, at that time, I was more comfortable. So, because we had been talking throughout the week, and he seemed like a really nice guy. So then, that was when we had our official first date, just the two of us, and it was a really nice night. And that was when we had our first kiss in a taxi. Because I think his house was like closer. So like anyway, we dropped him off first, and then I took the taxi home, and just before he got out of the car, it was really awkward. Just before he got out of the taxi, he gave me a kiss. And yeah, but no, I thought it was really sweet. He didn't try anything funny. It was just a very genuine, nice first date where we talked all about a passion for business and life, and yeah, and it was sweet. But yeah, so that's our story. And I have a baby who's really fussy, so I'm gonna go, but I hope you enjoyed that story. And Mike will probably have some discrepancies on how it went in his head, but he'll have to tell you that story himself. So I'll see you. Bye.